It's a man being asked, do you want marriage? No more time. Let's get it. Hold on. The sound's off. All right, let's go.
Do you want marriage?
I don't care. If she wants it, cool. If she doesn't, if she doesn't mind, then no.
But what do you want though?
I just want long-term love.
Oh, okay.
The piece of paper, the legal status doesn't, I would get married for a visa, for visa purposes, for legal purposes for that.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with doing for example, if she doesn't care about the legal proceedings of it, yeah. I'm fine with doing the wedding ceremony, the celebrations of love, you know, but what I care about more is loyalty because look around, if you could just get divorced whenever you want to, then what is the point of the vows? They don't mean anything. Marriage doesn't mean anything.
Hot take.
There's truth. There's coffee being literally just poured into everybody right now.
I disagree.
Marriage is like your declaration of love at that moment, but people still cheat, people still abuse each other in the marriages. People can get divorced, no fault divorce. So they could be like, I fell out of love with you. Bye.
To be fair, that's at least the cheating part is something that's always happened. Let's keep listening.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're allowed to do that, what will make you want to fight for it? Right? What is the difference between being super in love and loving each other, caring for each other for 70 years without the wedding ring and with the wedding ring?
I think marriage is more than, I know people like to throw that around. Marriage is a piece of paper. Literally everything that we have is a piece of paper. Your passport, your driver's license, everything is just a piece of paper. But these papers matter. I want to raise kids, if I choose to have them, in that same environment of the benefit of two parents in the house.
Okay.
Go ahead. What are you going to say? Finish it. I can already see your face.
But none of that is marriage.
What do you mean?
That is just two people living, you don't have to be married to do that.
You're right.
Right? That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
But
you can have everything that you just described.
Yes.
Without the legal marriage.
Technically single.
Technically single or co-living or whatever it's called.
You're single until you're married. So, but I get what you're saying. You can still do the whole marriage.
I'm going to let this play, guys. There's a lot being said here. Very interesting conversation. Just going to let it play. Then I'll give my thoughts at the end. Of course, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Comment down below. Let's keep listening.
Marriage aspect, but not be together. Well, I guess I value being a wife and I value being someone's wife before I would ever, I would never be a mother before I'm a wife. If I never get married, I will never have a child.
Right. But that is more to protect yourself. Right. So if you end up with the wrong guy, you get something out of it. The law protects you.
Okay.
Right. If you get divorced, you get half if you don't make as much money as he does. Right. Or you get alimony, or you get child support or something. There's a punishment for him being the wrong partner.
But I never was looking at it as in terms of punishment. I never, I wasn't looking at if we divorce, I can take all his money. That was never the thing. It's just,
then why, what makes it so that you don't want to have a kid until you're a wife? This guy, if you meet this guy, he loves you.
Okay.
And he is I want to be with you, have a child with you.
Amazing.
I don't want to get married.
No.
But the moment we have a kid together, I'm putting $5 million in your bank account and I'm saying to you, I will never leave you.
No.
But what's the difference?
Then what's the difference in marriage then? Why? Why not?
Because maybe he's worth $350 million and he doesn't want to deal with the legal side of things.
Then we're not meant to be. That's okay. Then our views and our values don't align, and that's okay. I think I would be wasting my time if I just took the cop out of saying, oh, I'll take $5 million, but losing out on a big thing that I truly value. Our values don't align. And so I would just say, hey, cool, not going to work out. Thanks.
But this is somebody who's okay, I'm going to add, this is your ideal guy. And the only thing different is the status of marriage. Everything else you get exactly what you would dream of in a marriage, but you don't get marriage.
But then it's not everything I dream of.
So that's what I'm saying. No, but that's what I'm saying. So basically.
All right. So this is a really interesting topic. So right in the beginning, it sounds like he is saying, why do you need to get married to get what you want from a marriage? Right? What is it about marriage? And she describes what marriage means to her. And I think that's the first place you want to start with these type of conversations, because he's right in the sense of when it comes to marriage, the definition of what marriage is has evolved. It has evolved. Marriage is no longer, you can't go around dating assuming that everybody who you run into, when they hear the word marriage, has the same definition of marriage that you have. There was a time when people could have these conversations, and let's say I said, hey, do you believe in marriage? I would assume that that woman believes that marriage means that she's going to be a wife. She would take a motherly role, which will lean towards more gender roles. And if she's talking to me and saying, do you value marriage? She would assume that I'm going to be a husband who wants to be a provider, etc. But now, society has really blurred the definitions of what it means to be a husband or a wife. What does marriage mean? Depends on who you're talking to. Because like he said, those vows don't mean anything. For most people, it's a ritualistic thing, right? They're just speaking and making empty promises. The amount of people who say, till death do us part, just that one line alone, till death do us part. I believe more women out here should really consider rewriting, because why women, Shisha? Because they file the majority of marriages, and men too can come together and consider that if they also believe that feelings and happiness are a reason to leave marriage, and say, in my vows, I will divorce you if I am not happy. The vows don't mean anything anymore, and marriages to most people doesn't mean what it used to mean. What gives something meaning? Well, it's the value that you attach to it, the values, what you believe in it. For example, in the Brew Brothers, I talk about foundational values that qualify the type of man who wants the type of dynamic where a woman also values a masculine man who takes the leadership role, and a feminine woman who is a helpmate. And you can only cooperate with the type of woman who also values the same things that you value. So you want to get those foundational values down first, right? That's a woman who is feminine, nurturing, friendly, fit. Shout out to KS. And the last one being submissive. If she's not that, you don't have to argue with her. Oh, why do women have to be all those things? You don't. Apparently, women today believe that they could be on the same level as men when it comes to all things, and we can both be leaders, even though there's no other part of life that works out that way. There's always a co-pilot and a pilot. There's always a point guard for a team. There's always a quarterback for a team. There's always a president to run a country. But when it comes to marriage, all sense goes out the window. We're just going to do what works for us. You want to avoid those people, especially if you're caffeinated. So I think the first thing is, what does marriage mean? It depends on who you're asking. Right? What definition, what does marriage mean to you? What values do you attach to a marriage? If she's talking about, oh, I'm looking for a partnership or a partner who's going to respect me as an equal. Well, there's nothing wrong with respecting a woman, and men should respect their women. But in most cases, when a person says that, it means that they're usually trying to say, I don't want the type of dynamic where a man is assumed as the head of the household, and they want a more modern, you hear women talk about traditional with the mix, right? So that's the first thing. I want to start with also what she asked him in the beginning of that video. She asked him and said, do you want marriage? Let me just play that one more time. Let's see.
Do you want marriage?
Okay. So she said, do you want marriage? And that's a very interesting question to a man, because most men don't even think of marriage that way. I understand the question, and of course, it's not a crazy question. But for a man, especially today, he hears that, he thinks to himself, I want a good woman. Men just don't want marriage. Men want good women to marry if they value and still uphold the idea of marriage and the possibility of that happening. It's the result of the marriage that they're looking at. A guy may say, well, I do want to continue my legacy via children. So yeah, I do want marriage because I want kids, or I do want marriage because I'd love a good woman who I can build a loving relationship with, who be loyal to me, who will stick with me through the tough and the thin, and will not leave and divorce me over some petty shit. But it's different with women. Women think of marriage and they think of all these wonderful things that they, in most cases, usually enjoy more than the men. The ring, right? Oh, I'm engaged. There's a stand-up I remember listening to of, there's a comedian talking about how when women get married, it's like this celebration, but when men get married, it's like someone is sick or something, like they fell ill to some disease. And it's like, oh, did you hear what happened to John? I'm like, oh, what happened? He's engaged. No. What? Is he okay? Okay. Is he sure? Yeah, he is. Men react differently. And that's because of the consequences and the gravity of the situation of marriage and what they face. And marriage usually is harder on men in the case that it does not work out. They receive less comforting. People feel less sorry for them. They know they are making a huge risk. But for a woman, she hears marriage. Of course, she's thinking of the ring, like we mentioned. She's thinking about the dress. She's thinking of all the pretty photos and father and daughter dance. I mean, men appreciate those things as well. But there are a lot of initial benefits to marriage for women. And they see that question differently. One thing that I do agree with this woman in her approach to marriage is that she does not want to create single homes. Good for her. Good for her. So now let's entertain the question that was asked, which is a sort of an extreme question. It's like, you run into a millionaire. What are the chances of that? I mean, okay, let's say she does $5 million. I think some women would have said yes to that. But she said she really wasn't comfortable with that. It is what it is. But I also want to shed light on a different perspective that I think a lot of men don't think about. These are the type of conversations that we have in the brotherhood, and you should apply, request to join. But the thing that people don't understand is, for example, let's say you don't sign papers legally and you choose to cohabitate with the woman. The problem is you're always vulnerable to things like common law. You might say, well, I don't live in a state that practices common law, respects it. Okay, sure. But the judicial system is consistently changing. Things are always changing. That there is out of your control. This is how I'm trying to give you both sides of this, right? At any time, your state can change laws. People get married and they don't even know that they have a prenup. Every state has a prenup for the people who live in that state by default. When you create a prenup, you're making a prenup on your own terms. And so imagine a law changes, and all of a sudden, that person is now entitled to your property, etc. In that moment, the only thing that can save you is if you had a prior written contract between the two of you, a prenup, that would protect you from that type of a situation. And so, in the end, each of those approaches has its own risks. I personally would think, and you don't have to do what I think is best, but I personally think that the approach of making sure that you protect yourself where you can control, where you have control, is the best way forward if you are someone who plans to get married. Do not believe anything you hear. If you're going to get married today, protect yourself in some way, shape, or form. Men, you need to protect yourself. And you need to protect yourself because people hear that and they think, "Whoa, wow, you're protecting yourself from your woman. Is it that?" No. You're protecting yourself from the greedy lawyers and the court system who benefits from the possibility of your marriage not working out, including the woman who can turn into a bitter ex-wife. Right. What else? What else was talked about here that I thought was worth touching on?
And so I would just say, hey, cool.
Exactly what alimony or get child support or something. Like there's a punishment for him being the wrong partner.
But I never was looking at it as in terms of punishment.
I think we covered mostly everything. Let's check out some of these comments, see what the people have to say. Top comment here says, would she still marry if she was okay? If she was asked, to sign a prenup? That's a good question. I wonder. I don't know. What do you guys think? Comment down below. I don't know. I don't know if I got that vibe. Somebody else here added, marriage is a business arrangement, period. This is true. Somebody else here says, he's speaking logically. This is the side they don't want to hear. Somebody else here added, he's asking why you value marriage and you're not answering the question. I don't think most people can answer it. This is interesting because this is one of the questions. Actually, the first question. If you're in the community, you know. This is pretty much the first question I ask every man in Brew Brothers. Somebody else here says he's making a whole lot of sense. Here's somebody else who says she literally doesn't get it. Somebody else who says she doesn't get it. LOL. Somebody else here added, single till you're married is crazy to say. LOL. Logic versus feelings. Yeah.